In this exploration of normal things that minimalists don't do, I want to highlight that we're all very different. But these things that I'm going to talk about today have changed for me over the past 6 years, and they're also things that I've noticed a lot of minimalists don't do. If you're new here, my name is Becky, and over the past 6 years, I have been decluttering and living a more minimalist life with my daughter, my husband, and my 2 dogs. So on this journey of minimalism, one thing I have noticed for myself and many others is that we don't keep things that have no home. For me, I found that I can justify keeping a lot of things. I could probably have justified keeping everything. But that being said, I didn't actually need it and I wasn't using it. And so to me, what I've realized is that it doesn't matter if the item is still useful. That doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I don't need it. And so for me, even if it is useful, I don't need it, it is clutter. The next thing is that minimalists don't compare themselves to other minimalists, and they also don't compare themselves to anybody else. And that has to be one of my favorite things that I have enjoyed about minimalism, is that it's a personal journey. Growing up, I always felt very compared to other people, finding myself less than or greater to. It was all about the way I looked, or it was about what I had and did I have enough. That was exhausting. And even coming into adulthood, that lesson of always comparing myself to somebody else drove me to buy and keep a lot of things that I wasn't really happy with. And it made me for many years not really understand myself or my style and what I liked, because I was just comparing, did it fit in to what everyone else was doing. And so for minimalists, what we do is we can appreciate what other people have. And we can really enjoy watching other people's journeys and what they need and what they have. But it doesn't mean for us that we need it in return. I think that's the beauty of it. It's not that we can't appreciate and praise what other people are doing that makes them happy and their best self. But in turn, we know that we don't need the same thing. We're not living the same path. And so where we can still find a lot of happiness, we don't find the need to compare. And the next one I found is that minimalists don't take more than what they need. This doesn't have anything to do with buying the 12-pack of toilet paper, but we don't take more than we need because we're living in the present right now and what we need right now in order for our home to run efficiently and to be happy. And we don't live in the state of lack. And this reminded me of our last trip to Paris with my daughter. We stayed in this wonderful woman's little flat, and she lived there on a everyday basis. That was just her normal home. And I noticed that she had a handful of cups, a handful of plates, and just a few things of toilet paper, just the shampoo and the conditioner she needed. But in that small little flat, she didn't have the space or capacity to have more than she needed. Her fridge was a small apartment-sized fridge that fit underneath the cabinets. And so therefore, she did have to go shopping for food every day and just had exactly what she knew she could enjoy right then. And that to me was the symbolism of not living in lack, not being afraid to enjoy right now in this moment. And that's really what minimalism has taught me, to stop living in fear of what the future might hold. One of the most beautiful things that minimalists do pay close attention to is the people in our lives, the relationships we have, the things we have that rob us of our peace. So for me, it was much easier to let go of things that rob me of my peace, items I didn't have time to clean anymore, than people and relationships. And I was always very much a people pleaser, wanting people to be happy when they were with me, and also going and doing things that didn't necessarily make me happy, but I thought that's what other people wanted. And through minimalism, I found a lot of peace with that. And I was recently having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and we were talking about this idea of stepping away from relationships and how hard it is. And so where relationships are so layered and complicated, you probably immediately know a person that you either have to hang out with because of your job or your family, and it is not working. It's not making you your best self. And I found as minimalists, we seek out help, we seek out boundaries in order to have more peace in our life and less of what brings us the chaos. But on a lighter note, minimalists also look for moments of awe. And this was something I only learned on my minimalist journey when I was able to clear some of the junk away and have more time, was that there are so many moments of awe in an everyday, normal life. And it was really something that I always thought having a moment of awe was like seeing the most beautiful sunset on the ocean. It was a once, maybe twice a year event. But as I learned more about minimalism, I realized that moments of awe can happen all of the time. That all we have to do is be more present in our life to see things that are beautiful, like my daughter going yesterday and sitting on the couch and reading a book all by herself, or just going outside in my garden and seeing a butterfly land on a leaf. These moments are happening all around us. It's just that many times when we don't slow down, we miss them. All right, we are rolling right along, and I hope you are gaining some insight. And if you are, I would love it if you would subscribe, and of course, throw a heart emoji down below if you are living a minimalist life or decluttering here with us. But let's move on to the next one, and that is minimalists tend to enjoy the holidays a lot more. And over the past 6 years of decluttering, the first thing that I really noticed was the amount of boxes I had in my attic full of different holiday decor. And a lot of them, I either brought them out and they were a hassle, or I didn't even like them very much. I have mentioned to my husband several times over the past couple of months how much I miss Christmas and how wonderful Christmas was this year. And in writing the script for this video, it really had me thinking about why was this the best Christmas that I can remember to date? And I think it had a lot to do with what we did, not what we had. We had a Christmas party for my daughter where a bunch of her girlfriends came over to our house, and we made crafts and drank hot chocolate, watched one of the Christmas movies, and we had a blast together playing outside. And then I made this huge list of all the tacky decorated Christmas houses in our area, and every night for about a week we went to 3 or 4 and got to enjoy them. And so what I do think is that through minimalism, you realize in these already special moments in our life how valuable it is to slow down, pay attention, and enjoy being together. You don't have all of the excess to have to worry about. That really puts a cloud over what should be a really beautiful season for your family. And the next one is minimalists question what they have. And this all really started several years ago when I began my minimalist journey and I was decluttering, and yet I hadn't stopped buying more things. And my husband took me aside one day and gave me some really good but hard to hear advice. And he said, either stop decluttering and just enjoy what you have, or continue to declutter and stop buying more things. And it stung for an entire 24 hours until I realized that he was 100% right. I was decluttering, and yet I was still bringing in new things, thinking that if I decluttered the old and brought in new beautiful things that I thought fit my minimalist journey, that I would find happiness. A lot of minimalists feel the same way as I do now, that sure, we still make a lot of mistakes. We still fail and we buy things that we shouldn't, but just because we make a mistake doesn't mean that we're gonna then go stuff it in a closet and keep it forever. No, we return those items. We think about why we made that mistake at that moment, what was the motive behind it, and we declutter it back out of our life one way or another. In those moments of reflection, of failure, we learn a lot about ourselves. And that leads right into the next one, which is minimalists don't settle for second best. This is something I learned from my husband years ago, and he's not even a minimalist, but he will research to the emptieth hour on what to buy, and he's not gonna spend his money unwisely. As a minimalist and looking at other minimalists, I've realized that we do spend a lot of time looking for quality. It doesn't matter if it's at a thrift store or not. Anytime that you are gonna bring something back into your home, our thought process is this gonna last? Is this going to be exactly what I need? And the next one I've noticed is minimalists don't buy multiples. And that goes along with pillows or water bottles or shoes. We don't buy multiples just because. I'm not saying that you only have one pair of boots and that's the only shoes that you have. No, but as a minimalist, you're thinking, okay, I have these pairs of boots that work for cutting the grass and going in the snow and walking in a puddle. They have multiple uses. And I don't need two pairs of these same exact shoes to do that one purpose. As becoming a minimalist, I am always looking for multiple uses to items. And if I can't, then why do I need this multiple in order to be successful in the task at hand? So minimalists also simplify their decor. And what I've found for me personally is that I like less decor because I don't like dusting. So everyone's threshold for decor is going to be vastly different, but minimalists do pay close attention to the decor they're bringing in their house, and they do have their reasons for why they're keeping it, and they don't go past their threshold. Oh my goodness. So we as minimalists don't have a bunch of forgotten places. And I recently just heard this research study that said that 62% of US adults surveyed feel that their garages are the most cluttered place in their home. And while I don't have a garage, so I guess that's kind of lucky, I do have a workspace downstairs and and a shed outside. And so those places definitely do gather clutter. So 2 weekends ago, we went into our shed and we did do a quick declutter of the things that we had put in there the last season and we didn't pull out or need for this coming season. Minimalists do pay attention to those hidden places. Our attics, those can really easily become a place where we just hide our clutter because it's easier to put it in there than it is to make the decision and find a place to get rid of it. Conquering those hidden places, even though it doesn't feel like it should impact you, it has, for me at least, made a huge difference because that hidden clutter is out of my Rolodex in my brain of things that I'm gonna eventually have to take care of and make decisions about in the future. Minimalists don't care about brands. This takes me all the way back to when I was a kid and my mom refused to ever let me wear any kind of logo on my clothing, even my shoes, because she said I'm not a billboard for these companies. So she only bought things that didn't have any labels on them. And as a teenager, obviously, I hated that role. But as a minimalist, it makes a lot of sense. And it leads me into one of the rules as a minimalist that I live by now. And that is, if it didn't have the label on it, would I still want to buy this product? That has stopped me from so many bad purchases, whether it's a t-shirt that has, the Lululemon logo on it, so I should get that. But would I have bought this shirt without it? No. And it's allowed me to walk away from that item. And that minimalist rule has really helped me to remember what my mom always taught me, that it's not about the brand, it's not about the logo that gets slapped on the front, it's about is the quality where it needs to be, and is it really an item that I need in the first place? The next one is that minimalists set boundaries for their belongings. Boundaries for where our things can go, and we don't surpass that. In doing that, in finding the home, I had to figure out what my threshold was for clutter. What does that even mean, right? Through my research and learning more about minimalism is that threshold really means the feeling that you get when you walk into a space in a room. Is it a place that immediately you get the trigger of peace, calm, I enjoy being in here? Or do you get the trigger of, I want to run? And in my home, in most every room in my home, I was getting the trigger constantly of fight or flight, that I didn't want to be here. This was one more thing I had to do. And I was overwhelmed, and there was toys in every room, and I was constantly on high alert for clutter. And I didn't necessarily know that at the time. I just knew I was unhappy and I would just leave and I would go shopping, thinking that shopping was gonna solve my problem, when in turn I was just bringing more things in, right? And I was causing more of a problem. And that's how we get up to that, 300,000 things in a normal home. That's how we easily get up to that number, because we're trying to soothe our anxiety in our home, not knowing that it is our clutter that is the anxiety, and it's actually something that we can deal with and we can overcome. But as a minimalist, learning about other minimalists. We don't hide our clutter. We know where it is, and we also have limits for it. When the box is full, we have to know that even if those things have value, we have to declutter some of it out. It's going past where my threshold can handle. And this last one I have to share because I've gotten so many comments about this. Minimalists are in charge of their belongings, and it goes down to the question of, what if somebody gives me something and then they ask about it later? Or what if somebody is upset because I decluttered something? First of all, minimalists make a conscious choice of not taking anything that they know that they cannot handle. But I do understand when it comes to gifts, we're not going to stand there and go, no, I don't want this birthday gift. Thank you. A lot of times that would hurt the other person. And for me, I try not to intentionally do that because I know this is a give and take. Giving a gift is as much as a gift as receiving it. I'm now in charge of it though. And if I cannot use it and the person then asks me about it later, I can tell them the truth. I, really appreciate you thought about me. But honestly, I could not find a place to use it. And I've been doing this decluttering journey, and I've really been trying to live with less because of XYZ, anxiety, overwhelm. And so therefore I found a really good home for it. I found somebody else that could use it. If they get upset, that says more about them than about you because they gave it away. Even if it was a sentimental item, they released their ownership and gave it to you. So therefore you are the person in charge. And so the only caveat to that is when it comes to my immediate family, if they give me a sentimental item and they say, I would like this back, or if I know it is something that has been generational, I will say, do you want this back? And I give them that choice before I end up decluttering it. And I recently just did that with a nativity set I had, and I gave it to my aunt, and she was really excited to have it. But that's not what I do on a daily, everyday basis when someone gives me something. I'm the owner of it. I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but hopefully they see that their love was not in an object, but it was a showing of love. It was the action of love and not the actual object that brought the joy. And I hope that you've gotten some enjoyment from this. Maybe you've learned a few things about yourself as well as a minimalist, or maybe some things that you could work on in the future. But these are just things that I've observed over the past 6 years that have really changed my timeline of the way I live my life, but also the things that I've seen other minimalists do as well. And if you would like to see some more, then click on one of these videos right here, and I wish you guys all the very best.